All right, there's Dixie. I'm the Wizard. We're talking 3-6A, our first 6A district in the district breakdown. Dixie, you look at this district, 7 teams, right? But not the North Crowley didn't take it serious the last couple of years, but I think they saw the competition they had in the playoffs. They really pushed up their non-district with Lancaster, DeSoto, and Rockwall on there. Stacked team. They're going to have to play tough teams because they have quality teams, but maybe not as tough as you'll see in the playoffs. Talk to me about the North Crowley team and then also the rest of this district.
North Crowley is one of the most, from a rankings perspective, an infuriating team because we don't know what we have with them. Last year, they beat everybody they were supposed to beat convincingly, and then they got in the playoffs and they started to look good. Okay, is this going to be a team that can be competitive with Duncanville? Is this a team that is a state championship threat? And then when they played Allen, that game was a lot closer than a lot of people thought, and then Duncanville just completely obliterated them. So Coach Gates, I applaud his non-district scheduling right now because we're going to get a chance to see what they're starting to understand, that if they're going to be in the same breath as Duncanville, DeSoto, and South Lake Carroll, they're going to have to schedule this way. And when you got Chris Jimerson coming back, there is a lot to be excited about. This guy can make every throw. He's a leader on the field. And when you've got him as your North Star of that team, I think you have a lot of good positive things coming out. And his offensive line is up there with Duncanville and DeSoto and Prosper as one of the better offensive lines in this state. Really, Henry Fanuku is a fantastic offensive guard. You got John Turntine coming back. You got John Delgado. I mean, this is a really good offensive line that's going to protect him. So you've got that. But then on the defensive side of the ball, you've got some really, really good, talented linebackers. You got Jonathan Cunningham coming back. You got Jabril Asbury coming back. Galen McNeil in the secondary. I like North Crowley, Ward, but as we're talking 3-6A, that's what our thing is. But with North Crowley, I want to know how good they're going to be regionally, because we know I don't think we're going to have anybody debating statewide who's going to win this district. This is North Crowley's district to win. A lot of debate coming on the rest of the district, but how good is North Crowley going to be? Can they compete for a state championship? I think they're going to take a step. I've got them ranked in our preseason rankings as number 4, right below South Lake Carroll, which means if they progress, if they get better, they're right there in that state championship title talk.
Yeah, and I think a lot of your rankings throughout the season are going to, even when we get into weeks 5 through 11, or when it comes to North Crowley, it'll be what they do in those first 4 games, because it'll finally tell you. And we didn't mention Drayden Fulbright, who transferred in from Georgia, who's actually a top linebacker, cornerback, top cornerback in the not only in the state but in the nation. So they got another piece out there in the backfield, in the defensive backfield. But man, the Mansfield teams, they move into this district and they got to be feeling really good. They get out of that district of doom, or whatever you want to call it. I'm kind of tired of calling it that, to be honest with you, but I'll let everybody else call it that. But they get out of there, and now they're in a place where heck, all 3 of them could make the playoffs if they play right, but at least 2 of them should make the postseason. Talk about Mansfield's ISD moving into this district.
Come on, Ward, you're being a little disrespectful here. You're calling them 3, you're saying 2. I'm going to say 1 because you're overlooking the other team that is the rival of North Crowley. I've got Crowley as actually my number 2 team. Caleb
Well,
Williams.
Crowley's got to step up that defense. I know you're going to talk about Caleb Williams, but all the games we were at, that team just folded when it came down to making any kind of defensive stop. So when you go on about Crowley, tell me about their defense.
They had a young defense last year. They got Tamondre Bowie coming back, Brandon Ford coming back. Antavius Ellis, he was a freshman last year, Ward, lighting up the district. You got Caleb Williams. They got Derek Tasby coming back. There are a lot of things to be excited about with Crowley. They got to stop somebody, as you said, but when you look at who they have to stop, I mean, they can outscore a lot of these teams. So I think Crowley is a strong number 2. But like you said, with the Mansfield schools, they have to be breathing a huge sigh of relief. They're going to be competitive. We talk about tiers. I've got North Crowley kind of at tier 1 by themselves. I actually got Crowley at tier 2 by themselves. and I've got Mansfield at tier 3 by themselves. I think that last playoff spot is going to be very fun. With Mansfield, you got Braxton Van Cleve coming back. This is a very talented quarterback, and I think there's a little bit of psychology involved, Ward. I know you hate when I put my psychology cap on and go all Freudian on you, but when you're getting beat up by Duncanville and DeSoto and Cedar Hill and Waxahachie every single week, it's hard to get yourself hyped up for winning those other games. And Mansfield's been right there the last 2 years, just falling fifth, had a couple of injuries. One thing happens here, one thing happens there. I think they played, Waxahachie and Cedar Hill within 2 points last year. I mean, it was just something that if one play went their way, they were going to be right there in the playoffs. I think in this district, they're going to thrive. I've got them at number 3. I really like their offense. I talked about Braxton Van Cleef. He can make every throw. He's tough-minded. They got Jacoby Hayes and Zion Robinson, really solid receivers coming back. Sawyer Warren, the talented linebacker, is going to be back there for Mansfield. Ward, the fight is going to be for number 4. It sounds like you got a Mansfield school as your number 4. I like Weatherford at number 4. I think with Cutter Kennedy coming back at quarterback, they got Bradley Simmons coming back at running back, and we got like the triplets coming back with Colton McClure. I think Weatherford is just going to have enough depth to be that 4th spot. But I could see why you like the Mansfield schools, because it's like it's like if you're walking on an incline for so long, once you start walking on flat ground, you start to run. You can feel that running coming on, and that's what the Mansfield schools are going to be feeling. Lake Ridge, even though they were 0-10 last year, Ward, they were probably one of the most snake-bitten teams when it comes to injuries. Kenan Miller started as a freshman at quarterback, and he got injured early in the year, so a lot of people forget about him. He is coming back, and I think he's going to be a welcome addition if he can stay healthy. They've got Jaden Jones, who also is a 3-4 year starter, coming back. Mansfield Lake Ridge is a team to watch. I just don't know if they've got enough depth to get over that hump, because last year 3 or 4 injuries took them completely out of the discussion, took them from a team that was a playoff potential team to an 0-10 team. So do they have enough depth to overcome that? I don't know, but maybe you think they do.
I think they do. And I think I'm going back to your first point. I think that after competing with the best and maybe getting stomped out by them, they can see their footing a little bit in this district and gain confidence as the years goes by. And they've had their success. Lake Ridge went to the state final, I guess it was like 10 years ago. I know they got blown out in that one. And Legacy, when they had Catalan back there, they actually had a year or two of pretty good success. So they know they can do this. They just have to get the confidence of be able to do it. I guess that just leaves us with Boswell. And we know that they suffer what's compared to 2 graduations. Their senior class, and then everybody went to Eagle Mountain, and once that school opened up, and they just seem super young and depleted.
Yeah, I remember when we were talking about our prep work and you were kind of helping to proofread my stuff, and I was like, yeah, but Boswell's got this guy. You're like, nope, no, he doesn't. They got this guy coming back, and you're like, nope. Eagle Mountain transferred out. So Boswell's got a lot to replace. They do have a couple of pieces that are going to be there. Jackson Trammell, Kyrell Robertson are 2 players I'm keeping an eye on. Mansfield Legacy is a team that was a little bit surprising last year. I think they're all 4 of these teams have the ability to compete for that 4th playoff spot. Mansfield Legacy on paper looks like a team that, because they actually can play some defense. I know you always criticize teams that don't play defense. You're already giving Crowley the business early, and they've got a good defense with Xander Walker coming back and Landon Isbell and Emmanuel Moore, who could end up being one of the top players in this district. But at some point, you got to be able to have a quarterback who can get the ball in the end zone, and I think that's just as important. So Mansfield Legacy, maybe keeping some of that 4th tier teams in the 21-point range, but can they score 21 or above to overcome, to do something with that defense? I don't know. So I've got them closer to the bottom half of the district as well. But I think every team in this district has to be looking at their offseason thinking, we can make the playoffs. Yeah. And that's a fun district, because when we start talking about some of the other districts in the next few weeks, Ward, it's not always going to be the case where every single team could be looking at, hey, we have a legitimate chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, excellent. You go into the season knowing you have a chance until you don't have a chance anymore. So that's good to hear. All right, give me 1 through 7, and then we'll move on.
We got North Crowley at number 1. I've got Crowley at number 2. Those Mansfield Tigers at number 3. The Kangaroos. We're going to do a kangaroo kick and kick them into the playoffs at number 4. I've got Mansfield Lake Ridge at Tough Luck number 5. Mansfield Legacy number 6. And can you believe it, Ward? Boswell, a team that is a perpetual playoff team. I am putting them last place in this district at number 7.